Hi there, I'm Muay Thai coach Sonny Perez. I'm doing a short video on stretching and foam rollering actually. One of my students, Simon, asked a question. He said he's done a session, he's just started, and he has tight hamstrings and a tight lower back. So before we start, I just want to say like this, there's basically three things. The first thing is the tightness in the muscle, the second thing is static stretching, and the third thing is dynamic stretching. Okay? So why foam rollering is important is because if I've got a tight muscle, like I've got a tight calf, and then I do something like go running, for instance, like start doing sprints, my calf's tight, that's where I can pull a muscle, that's where I can, you know, even worse, tear a muscle, and that's going to really set back my training. So it's important, like when I've got tight muscles, that I spend a couple of minutes at the beginning of a session just doing a bit of foam rollering. Now we're going to focus in this video on the lower body, okay? There are other ways to do the upper body, which I'm going to talk about at a future time, but for now, because of Muay Thai, a lot of it is to do with the legs, and we might not be used to that. We're going to focus on that. So what we're going to do, we're going to get the foam roller. We've got these at the gym. We've got one like this and a softer one as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put it under the calf muscle here. And then what we're going to do, to get more of effect, we're going to make long stripes along the calf muscle. And you can see with my foot here, I'm indexing it in and out. So I'm hitting different parts of the calf muscle, the inside and the outside of the calf muscle. And any hot spots where it's tight there, where there's a pain, I'm going to spend some time just rolling that. So that's a calf muscle done. Now Simon's question was about the hamstring. So the hamstring starts just below the knee here, and so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have my foot up, and I'm also going to be indexing the foot in and out to roll the hamstring and release that hamstring. Okay, now something else that happens a lot in Muay Thai is when you do sparring particularly when you get kicked in the leg, you find that creates some knots in the leg. So it's important to release those knots. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to roll onto my side, and I'm just going to be putting my weight onto my thigh muscle, the quadriceps here on the side, and then what I'm going to be doing is rolling onto my front here, and again indexing the foot in and out and rolling the quad. Now, where the leg goes inside like this, we've got these adductor muscles. When we're doing kicks like round kicks and things like that, you know, that muscle can get very tight as well. You know, you hear a lot about footballers straining their groin, and you know, if we can release the adductor muscles, then that helps to avoid groin strain. So doing that. Okay, then we're going to roll onto the front, and where our hip bone is, we've got what's called the iliac crest, and we're just going to release the hip flexors. Find that, you know, if you sit down a lot or you have a driving job or something like that your hips can be very, very tight. So this is a good one to do. So that is, I've just done the left leg there, but obviously you repeat that on the right. Okay, now once the muscles are released, then it's time to do some stretching. Okay, so I'm going to show you two sorts of stretches, okay, to do. Now, one of the types of stretching that's very, very beneficial for Muay Thai is what we call dynamic stretching, okay, or ballistic stretching. This is where you've got the leg moving, and it will help you increase the range of motion, like enable you to kick someone in the head. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of science, a little bit of theory about how it works. It's not just simply about the range of motion your leg can move in, okay? You've got something in the body. It's an organ called the Golgi tendon organ, and basically what that organ does, when you go for a high kick and you can't quite reach it, it's because your body sort of tenses up. It's sending a message to your muscle saying, look, this muscle could tear here, so I'm going to put on the brakes to stop it going so high. So just these static stretches, which I'm going to show you last of all, are not the best for getting your kicks high. It's these dynamic stretches that you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few dynamic stretches now. I'm just going to move the camera around. Just bear with me for a moment. So I'm just going to show you a few dynamic stretches, guys. These are really good to do. Okay, like we've got a boxing ring or a wall. So the first one is going to be stretching that hamstring This is going to be really good for those teeps. Let me just move it back a little bit more so you can see. So what you can do this without any support. You can just hold, sending the left foot forward, pull the right arm and swing the right leg up. You want to aim at the beginning for about 10 reps on that leg and then do the other leg. Try and keep the leg straight and your back straight. Don't force it, just let the leg, the movement, the momentum of the leg do that. Take it easy and build up gradually. You won't tear muscles doing this as long as you're not forcing it, but you'll increase your range of motion and make those push kicks easier. The next two stretches I'm going to show are really going to help your round kicks massively, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to hold on to something. It could be a wall, could be a rope in a boxing ring, like this. So we're going to hold on to something and then we're going to keep this leg straight. We're going to swing it forward slightly and then swing it up to the back. And we're going to do that for 10 times on both legs. Okay, now the adductor muscles, like I was talking about before, are the ones that are responsible for those round kicks, okay? So what we're going to do, I'm going to do it facing you this time, okay? So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to bring my leg across like this and then swing it up to the side. And what I want is not the foot like this, which is going to stretch the hamstring, but more up like almost in the shape of a round kick. You can practice pointing your toes as well when you do this, which is something people struggle with at the beginning. So you're going to do 10 reps of that and 10 reps of the other side. Now that is one round, okay? Now the best way to do this is to do 5 sets of 10 of each. It only takes about 5 minutes. The more stretching you do, this dynamic stretching, the more it's sending that message to the muscle, yeah, it's not going to tear, and you'll find your range of motion will increase. Okay, so that's the second thing. So we did foam rollering, we've done some dynamic or ballistic stretching. Now I'm going to show you the static stretching. We do this a lot, and some coaches really like this. This is really good for the end of the session as well, to cool down and just lengthen the muscle, okay? But unlike your ballistic stretching, it's not going to have such a direct impact on your ability to kick high. So the ballistic stretches are the best. So I'm going to show you 4 stretches, okay? 2 are really, really gentle and good, and the last 2 are quite challenging, okay? But I want you to challenge yourself when you're stretching and get yourself as flexible as you can. So the first one's going to target the hamstring. If I keep my heel down, it's also going to target my calf as well. We do a lot of training on our calves, like with skipping, with shadow boxing, up on the toes. Those calves are going to get tight, so it's good to stretch them. So I'm going to point my toe up, and what I want you to do is just go down at a level that's comfortable for you. Now if that's comfortable in your hamstring and your heel, then stay there. Don't try and overdo it. Okay, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm stretching here all the way down. But you remember this, with stretching, you're competing with yourself. You're not trying to compete with someone else. You're going to hold that here and then change. Remember, find that range of motion that's if that's good for you, just work with that and then build it up over the weeks. It's about doing this over weeks. So that's the first stretch, okay, the hamstring and calf stretch. Okay, the next area we're going to stretch is the adductors, the groin, okay? So this time what we're going to do is we're going to keep our back nice and straight. So then we're going to drop this hip. So you should be feeling it here, okay? Again, go to a range that's comfortable. Try not to lean forward like this. You can sort of cheat with it, but it's not really going to help you. So keep your back straight, drop that hip, hold that for 10, and then you're going to point the feet front and then switch to the other side. Again, you want to be feeling it in your adductors or your hip. These are quite good stretches to do. That they're not you know, really challenging and difficult, and you'll see some results from those. So those are static stretches. The last 2 I'm going to show you are a little bit challenging, and you're going to find they are difficult. I find them difficult, and it's good because it's going to increase your flexibility, which has those benefits I was saying. So what we're going to do this time, we're going to put our weight on the ground on our arms, okay? And then we're going to put our weight up on our heels, and then we're going to push down to where we're comfortable, keeping our heels off the ground, but like the feet are parallel. That's a box split style stretch. It's just going to be very beneficial. And then what we're going to do, we're going to keep one hip dropped and turn up, and then we're going to move into like this style stretch called the front split. This is good on your hip as well. It does tend to loosen up the hip. No matter how high you're going, then we're going to go the other way, like that. Now nice just to finish off, a nice routine, a stretching routine is good. So what I would recommend is you start with a couple of minutes of foam rolling on the legs, okay, and then you do 3 to 5 rounds of those ballistic stretches, okay. You can do 10 reps, you can do 8 reps, you can do 7 reps. You can bring the reps down if you haven't got much time to do those. And then after each round of that, on both legs, you then do one box split for about 5 to 10 seconds, one front split, 5 to 10 seconds, and the other front split. Or you do this one, that hamstring stretch, 5 to 10 seconds, and then you can come up into the groin stretch, 5 to 10 seconds, then go the other way. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Simon, and all the best of luck with it. Remember, with stretching, it's good to be consistent with it and to just spend 5 or 10 minutes as many times a week as you can, and you will get very flexible in no time by putting in more short sessions rather than doing one big long session a week. As I say, stretching is really, really useful. It's really cool. Stretching prevents injuries. It's great for your health and your mobility. It helps you with speed because you're more loose. It also is great for Thai boxing because it means you can kick people in the head, and you've got a range of tools. If your flexibility is not great, you might be able to kick people in the leg or in the body, but you're not going to go to the head kick. So it's really good to be able to access those levels with kicking. And I've taught countless people who may well have been very, very unflexible to be very flexible. I myself, you won't think of it, but I'm not a flexible person naturally. I've just put in a lot of consistent work on these stretches, and I'm not as flexible as I used to be actually, because I don't really do them as much as I used to. But what that's a good point is but once you get to a certain point with flexibility, you might have to put a lot of work in the beginning, but you have to put in a lot less work later on just to maintain what you've got. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys, and hope you all enjoy your weekend.